in 1866 in a village far down south. His family worked the land, no scholars path, no noble house. His brother left for islands far, the kingdom of Hawaii. And when he made enough, he called son Yat-sen across the sea. At boarding school, son learned with speed, he picked up English fast. The king awarded him for work, the student made it last. He learned of revolution, of governments that served, of France, of Rome, of Washington, of people who had nerve. Back home he saw the difference, the queen refused to change. Corruption ruled in palace halls while foreign steamships came. Opium still poisoned streets, the railways weren't our own. And then he planned to modernize, came funded from a loan. So son became a doctor, gave free care where he could. But he talked with friends of freedom more than any medicine would. They said the dynasty must fall, reform will never do. And in the back of Hong Kong shops the first ideas grew. If the empire won't reform, then you tear it down. Build a future from the ground, not from the crown. Not a warlord, not a prince, not a general's son. Son was the blueprint for what had to be done. He wrote a plan, sent it to court, proposed a modern state. They tossed it out and that became the moment sealed by fate. So he left for Hawaii, where Chinese voices met. And there he swore a solemn oath the king would face regret. The reeve of China's society began with 20 men. Their raisins farmed from merchants said $1 can defend. And when he sailed for Guangzhou, he met a man named Yuan. Together they prepared a coup, the very first begun. The uprising failed, the plan was leaked, Lu Hadong was caught. The one who drew the rebel flag was tortured, but he talked not. Some fled to Japan, found shelter there and sympathy as well. Through student cliques and secret cliques, he broke the silent spell. But allies weren't all purists, some worked with Japan's plan to make China a puppet state, now lift the people's hand. So son took what he needed, arms and funds and maps, while speaking out against them too, he walked the double path. If the empire won't reform, then you tear it down. Build a future from the ground, not from the crown. Not a warlord, not a prince, not a general's son. Son was the blueprint for what had to be done. From Singapore to San Francisco, he spoke to every crowd. He promised land reform and said the queen had sold them out. He pushed for nationalism and democracy's design. The people's livelihood is goal, not heaven's will but mine. Students in Japan agreed and joined the new alliance. They joined the army quietly and waited for defiance. And then in 1911, the bomb went off too soon. The Wuchang troops had to rise fast, by midnight or by noon. They stormed the gates and seized the fort. The governor fled town. Within 4 weeks, 15 provinces had shut the empire down. Son was far away that day, he read it in a press. But days later, they named him head of China nonetheless. He came back not as ruler, but as interim at best, negotiating with Yuan Shikai while warlords fought the rest. Son gave up the sea for peace, but Yuan betrayed the pact. Within 1 year, he crushed the vote and took the country back. Between 1895 and 1911, Son led or inspired over 10 uprisings. Most of them failed. He lived 16 years in exile, raising funds and hope. From poor workers and overseas Chinese, he gave the presidency to Yuan Shikai to avoid civil war. But Yuan made himself emperor, and China shattered into pieces. Son fled again, but he never stopped building. He dreamed of a republic with 5 powers: legislative, executive, judicial, and 2 Chinese inventions. One to select officials by exam, one to investigate corruption. He called it the 5-power Constitution. He died in 1925 in Beijing, sick and thin. His party barely holding, his republic caved within. But still both Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek would claim his voice and light, because son Yat-sen had planted seeds that neither could rewrite. The flag he raised became the state, the dream he had, the core of all who tried to lift the land from war, from rule, from warlords' lore. History principles still echo loud, though twisted now by time. But in the end he showed the path that rulers must resign. If the empire won't reform, then you tear it down. Build a future from the ground, not from the crown. Not a warlord, not a prince, not a general's son. Son was the blueprint for what had to be done. Not a fighter with the sword, but a rider with the cause. He lost and lost, but built the lie.